are talking about prices from 1947 versus inflation today. I was sent this meme by several people, and it says here, a housewife poses with a week's worth of groceries in 1947. She spent $12.50 a week to buy all her groceries except milk. On this, she managed to feed herself, her husband, her 4-year-old twins, and the family cat. And this meme has been going all over for months since inflation started hitting, and everyone keeps sending it to me, and I've been wanting to do a video on it. And when my mom went to visit my grandma, she found my grandma's ledger from the 1950s where grandma kept track of every single thing she bought.
As a matter of fact, she's got stuff from just a couple of years ago in there too.
Really? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. Well, it looks like the last thing is 1979.
And then she had a couple of and stuff.
Oh, okay. And so we we decided we're going to do Grandma's ledger next week because I wanted to talk about this meme today because everyone says, oh, this woman did $12.50. Look at all that food she got for $12.50. And so as we were researching, we found out that this lady was in a Life magazine post. Now, oops, I messed up my article back in those days. And yeah, or article, excuse me, a Life magazine article. And here's the article right here. This is her. And the article is talking about inflation. Let me show you right here. It starts here with all these girls with inflation, with prices for everything that they have on, and talking about the high prices and all that. And if you go down here just a little bit, we're going to talk about a couple of these. But here's this lady. Well, come to find out, it's been going around the internet as if this was a normal occurrence, that every mom would spend $12.50, and this is a week, how they would feed their family. Well, come to find out, when we started reading this article, let me read this article to you. This is how one family eats $12.50 a week. If all American housewives had the spunk and ingenuity of the woman on this page, Mrs. Hamilton Williams of Atlanta, Georgia, inflation would be less of a swear word. Because for those of you who don't know, 1947 was a really big inflation year. Mrs. Williams, wife of a high school teacher, allows herself $12.50 a week to buy all her groceries except milk. On this, she manages to feed herself, her husband, her 4-year-old twins, and even the family cat. The job takes considerable doing. Mrs. Williams is an avid student of grocery ads and shopping windows. So for those of you who don't know, they used to have specials right here in the top right, just in the window, just prompt to specials just to get you to come into the store, okay? They don't do that now, but that's what they did then. For us, it would be the deals on our apps and that type of thing now. It would be the equivalent. She limits herself to one shopping expedition a week at which she weighs every penny against the family's full week appetite. She serves, now listen to this. This is what I want you guys to really hear. She serves no meat at lunch and limits her evening entrees to items such as meatloaf, hamburgers, and chili. Yet she manages to provide 2 desserts daily and such frills as cookies for a school at that party. When she described her budget in the Atlanta Journal recently, less enterprising housewives sent in letters of disbelief, and the city's CIO got to work on an official denial that any family could eat so cheaply. Does this sound familiar, Mother?
You can tell.
Does this sound familiar?
And people's characters and stuff have not changed.
But Mrs. Williams, the 1947 heroine of the Battle of the Bulge, carried merrily on.
Yep.
Okay, so you can
History
imagine
repeats itself.
Tara has something to say about this. So in this, I went and looked, and I decided to do some calculations myself because I was like, okay, I know full good and well that grocery prices today are not higher than they were in 1947. I just knew they weren't instinctively. But no one would believe me because I'm just like this lady in the article. Heaven forbid you be able to do it. So let me give you a few numbers here. First of all, when it comes to food, she's fed her family for $12.40 a week. The average food bill in 1947, and so that you guys can see, let me see, how do I, oops, just a second. So you guys can see I got this information from the retail prices of food for 1946 and 47 Bulletin of the United States Bureau of Statistics. So right here, indexes of retail food by city and months. Now this one's 1946, but you can see it's, I don't know if that got bigger. I hope it got bigger. They go anywhere from $136 to $174. So I went in the middle.
Is that for groceries?
That's for groceries for a month. In 1946, they spent $145, we'll just say on average, on groceries. Now that doesn't even come close to being that lady's $12.50 a week. So groceries were very high.
I was going to say compared to what they made.
So the average wage in 1947 was $3,000 a year. In 2024, it was $40,000 a year. Minimum wage in 1947 was 40 cents. And in 2024, that would equal $5.50 or 47 cents. Well, here nowadays, minimum wage is like $15 for the majority of the country now. Or a large part of the country now. And so wages are significantly higher than they were. But let's go back to groceries just a second. The average family spent $142 in 1947, 46, 47. That is the equivalent of $1,940 a month in 2024. Do not sit there and tell me that you cannot possibly afford groceries in 2024.
Or that it was so much easier back then. This is what I hear is
so much
it was
easier.
so much easier on people back then because things were cheaper. You know, things were so much cheaper. So you can see it was not at all cheaper.
They were spending 60% of their income
for groceries.
60% of their income. We spend maybe 15% of our income on groceries. Now, to put that in perspective, in 2024, I can feed my family $400 a month. That's not even close to the $1,900 a month. That would be the equivalent of 1947 prices. The average family spends $800 a month. Okay. So let's go through some prices here.
Well, one thing too, I'd like to say, you've got to put this in perspective. They had to take their money and spend it on groceries and mortgage and utilities. They didn't have the money to do all the extras that we do now. You know,
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and all that different type of stuff.
Bread, 1947, 15 cents. The equivalent in 2024 would be $2.05. You can go down to Walmart and get a loaf of bread for $1.32. Butter, 1947, 59 cents. In today's prices, $8.06. I can get butter for $2.97 on sale or $5 not on sale. Sugar, 1947, 49 cents. In 2024, $6.70. Sugar right now at Walmart is $4 for the same 5 pounds. And yes, I calculated by the 5 pounds, not the 4 pounds that they come in now. So give me that whole shrinkflation thing. I know it's happening, but compared to 1947, it's not a crisis. Milk, 80 cents in 47, 2024, $8.67. I can get milk on sale for $2 a gallon or regular price at $3.37. Not even close. Eggs, 1947, 59 cents. 2024, $8.06 for a dozen eggs would be the equivalent. I can get eggs for 99 cents on sale or $2.12 for regular price. Coffee, 2 pounds, 1947, $1.17. The equivalent now would be $15.99. Coffee at Walmart right now is $12. Mm-hmm. Ground beef, 1947, 30 cents a pound. 2024, $4.65. I can get ground beef for $2.47 right now on sale. Not on sale, $3.97. Chicken. Now, they did not have boneless, skinless chicken breasts for me to compare, which we're going to be discussing. 69 cents for a whole chicken. Now that would be $9.43 a pound. $9.43 a pound. You can get chicken all the time on sale for 99 cents a pound or $1.32 for regular price. A pound. Mm-hmm. Steak, 89 cents. That would be $12.16 for equivalent nowadays. You can get steak just last week. It was on sale for $4.97. Not on sale, $10.94. Round steak, 69 cents back then. It's $9.43 now. Regular price for round steak is $7.24. Tomato soup, 9 cents in 1947. 2024, $1.23. I can get tomato soup, 99 cents on sale or $1.25 regular price. Tomato soup, 2 cents higher. It is the only food that was actually higher. Now, let's go and talk about what is in this. Let's go talk about what is in this picture here. Because let's see. What do we not see in this picture, Mother?
I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see anything in the
We
picture.
don't see Pop-Tarts. We don't see kombucha. We don't see sodas. We don't see specialty coffees. We don't see Lunchables. We don't see creamers. We don't see packaged cookies. We don't see chips. We don't see any frozen pre-made meals. We don't see any fancy breads because it's better for us, supposedly. We see none of this fancy schmancy stuff at all. None of it. Now, the reason why people can't afford groceries now is because our lifestyles are so extravagantly more now than they were back then. Tell them what kind of a house Grandma lived in and Grandpa lived in when you were born.
Oh, it was, you know, the little camper trailers you can see, they're like 10 or 12 feet long. They lived in one of those little camper trailers. They didn't have a bathroom in it. So they lived like in a trailer park thing, and they had to go out, and they had a big concrete building where they use that for bathrooms and showers, just like when you go camping nowadays. So when I had messy diapers and stuff, because they didn't have disposables, my mom had to take my diapers down to the toilets in the community toilets and rinse them out and all this other kind of fun stuff. So that's what they lived in.
Here's the thing. People complain all the time about how kids nowadays can't afford to rent a house or buy a house. But Mike and I went through today and we looked to rent a house in 1947. It would have cost, let's see, it would have cost 54 cents a square foot. is how we figured it by the square foot, because what happened was, as we were figuring, people were like, oh, well, rent was $100 a month back then, or $50 a month or whatever. Well, but what we found out was houses had almost doubled in size since 1947.
Oh yeah.
It's not even close to the same.
We people didn't dream of having 2 bathrooms in a house. You just had one family bathroom,
They had no air conditioning, 1 bathroom, 1 bedroom, 1 car, and the women didn't drive.
No walk-in closets.
None of that stuff. Since 1950, the size of houses has tripled since 1950.
Yeah.
So come to find out, when we broke it down, so let's say rent was $1,100 for a 23 square foot house right now, that would have been adjusted to $531 in 1947 if you were doing the inflation calculation. But the thing is, they lived in a 900 square foot house versus a 2,300 square foot house. And so it came out in the end that if you were to do inflation prices in 1947, the house would have been $1,351 for the same thing that's $1,200 now. Prices have actually gone down, but nobody wants to believe that.
Well, to put it in perspective too, in a percentage idea, when this was in the 70s, 1970, when I got married, we had a trailer house with 1 little bathroom, the whole shebang, just a little trailer house. And we were paying about $100 or $110 a month for that trailer house. And we were bringing in $265 a month. So that was a huge chunk, about 50% of our income we had to pay for our rent.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having to pay?
Well, that's what Mike and I had to do. He was making $1,200 a month, and we were paying $600 for our rent in Texas.
So you have to put it in perspective with that too. How much percentage of your income did you have to use for groceries and for a mortgage? Now we have so much excess leftover income that we can buy all this extra stuff and do the extra food and things.
Okay, before we get on to the rest, guys, this video is brought to you by our Dining on a Dime cookbooks. You can eat better, spend less right now. So those cheap grocery prices we actually have right now, we tell you how to cook so you can save money on your grocery bill. Yes, we are that woman in the meme. Our gluten-free, dairy-free edition, if you are gluten-free, dairy-free, and our undated planners. No dates on these so that you can start it now and you don't lose any dates. 400 pages, 366 days. You guys can go and look at all the pages down in the description below, livingonadime.com. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little bit more. Here's the thing that's happened, and we're going to go in a little bit more depth. So these kids who can't afford anything today, they have 2 cars with car payments. They're brand new cars.
In insurance.
They have insurance for both people. They are eating out because everyone's too tired to cook when they're at home. They have $1,500 cell phones. They have $200 cable bills. They have subscriptions out the wazoo for Netflix and Hulu and all of these games on their phones. And they are buying ridiculous amounts of presents. Guys, the fact of the matter is, I'm not giving Biden a pass. Yes, inflation has gone up, but you have to keep it in perspective. We are way better off in 2024 than they were in 1947. Our lifestyle is 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better than it was in 1947. We have such a luxurious lifestyle in 2024. This isn't even comparable. Everyone talks about how they have to go to the food bank because they can't afford groceries or anything. Listen, I'm not knocking the food bank if you actually truly need it. This is the problem though. I will say probably 90% of the people who use the food bank don't actually need it.
Mm-hmm.
They won't get rid of the car payments. They won't get rid of doing their nails. They won't get rid of the new clothes for their kids and them. And so the problem is not inflation. The problem is your spending. If you're not going to stop spending, don't holler about inflation. And how many of those people, when Trump was in office, took advantage of the great prices and the low inflation and the wonderful economy that we had? How many people for those 4 years took that time to get themselves in a better position financially instead of, what did they do? They went and bought more cars. They went and got more expensive cell phones. They were eating out more. They weren't using that time to put themselves in a better place financially. So then when Biden comes into office and he completely ruins the economy, now we're all crying. Well, I'm sorry, but it's still, even with as much as he has messed up our economy, it is still not that bad. It's really not. And so we need to get some perspective and realize, okay, things have gone up. I get that. But what can I do now in the situation that I'm in now? Just like this lady that was in the here it is. Just like this lady that was in the meme here that, saying that she can spend $12 a week. Right here, people were sending in letters, and the CIO, must be some official government, something or another, got to work on an official denial that any family could eat so cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, every day, we get people who say there's absolutely no way you can feed a family of 4 for $400. There's no way mom can eat on $80 a month.
Well, why people do that is, as long as they keep saying that, it justifies them not doing anything about their financial situation. You see what I mean? It's once again an excuse, and it makes them feel better to think, well, people just want to have a good excuse and say why they can't do it and to keep doing what they're doing wrong,
And somebody said, did they even have indoor plumbing in the majority of homes back then? Mike and I were talking about that. Probably not a majority, because you remember going to your grandma's house with no indoor plumbing.
It just depends. A lot of people in the cities had it, but not out in the country very much at all. Very few people out in the country. And I don't even mean out, they would be in a small country town type of thing. But well, even when I was in like the late 60s, early 70s, my best friend I'd go to visit, and she didn't even have indoor plumbing, and my grandma didn't have indoor plumbing. My aunt didn't have indoor plumbing for a long time. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we're talking even later in the 50s and 60s. So
I think my toupee getting crooked.
There.
If it
falls in my lap, I'll pick it up and stick it back on real fast. Nobody will even notice if I pick it up and stick it back on again.
But, and it's like I saw Mike comment in here, the first house that we ever bought was 800 square feet and $27,000. But the guy that used to live there, he said that his mom and dad raised 12 kids in that house, mm-hmm. with one bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
One bedroom,
and it wasn't even a huge
kids.
Bedroom either.
And it had been added on to twice by the time
it
was 850.
Yeah, and by the time we bought it, it had been added on to twice. There was a utility room and another, they called it a bedroom, but the original house was probably about 500 square feet with 14 people.
Well, the kitchen was so tiny, they couldn't even fit the refrigerator in the kitchen, mm-hmm. so they had to put the refrigerator on the back porch, because it was just so tiny, the kitchen was.
So, here's the thing. It all boils down to choices. It is your choice as a mom if you are going to work. I know you don't want to hear that, but it is. It is your choice as a mom if you're going to ship your kids off to daycare and have someone else raise them. That's your choice. And it's your choice if you're that mom. that you're going to be earning $2 to $5 an hour after all of your expenses. You guys have got to start adding up all of these expenses and seeing what it's truly costing you. Nobody wants to do that anymore.
Well, nobody, I don't think, wants to give up the comfortable things they have. You know, it kind of, it's hard for me to watch on some of the videos and stuff when people say, well, I can't give up my special expensive coffee. There's just no way I could give up my coffee or my creamer or
My Keurig.
yeah, or something like that. Or I have to buy the very best meat, you know, from the very best store in town and the most expensive store. And it's hard for me to watch that because you holler about how are you going to manage, you know, and I had to give up all that stuff. And I couldn't even have regular cheapy coffee. The only time I had coffee for a long spell was if I went to a friend's house and we would have coffee together. I couldn't have coffee. I can't even imagine being so persnickety that I would think, well, I just can't give up my coffee. I had no choice. And I'm kind of concerned that we've got such a mindset like that now that if something drastic happens,
nobody's going to be able to cope.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to cope.
And I'm really concerned. It's okay to buy that stuff now if you can afford it and you're out of debt and that. But if you're so emotionally attached to your foods like this and all the other extra activities that you have to do and having your hair done and your nails done, I've heard women that I've talked about, you know, they were crying because they were so stressed with their finances. And I said, you got to do it in little things. You got to start cutting back on little things. They would take a 30 to 45-minute shower. And I say, you need to cut back to a 10-minute shower. Oh, I couldn't do that. Here they are crying and so stressed and physically sick, but they couldn't even wrap their mind and think that they could cut back on a shower, you know, something like that. So it's going to be very stressful on people. And you were talking about the bread being $1.30 something. I bought some yesterday and it's gone up to $1.47 now.
Oh, at Walmart, really?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to start jumping, guys. I think we're going to really see things just
I think
moving.
the fecal matter is going to hit the oscillation unit.
It's kind of on hold, just a little bit on, not totally on hold until the election's over.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as the election's over, it's just going to go downhill. Whoever gets in office, it doesn't matter. You know,
either way, it's just going to flip.
I don't want to be negative, but we're trying to shake you up a little bit for you to think, okay, this is getting serious. If I can't get my boneless, skinless chicken anymore, I may have to buy the leg thighs or, you know, packets and things like that. You've got to start trying to wean yourself of some of these things you think are needs and they're just wants.
Yeah, if you guys like this video, could you give us a thumbs up, please? Also share this video.
When they give the thumbs up, do they have to do it underneath the screen? Mm-hmm. No, not just in the comments.
Yeah, it's underneath the screen.
Yeah, that little thumbs up underneath the screen where you see us is what.
All right, before we continue, Dining on a Dime Cookbooks Volume 1 and 2, guys, 25% off right now. This video is brought to you by our cookbooks. Why? Because this is our business to teach you how to save money on your groceries. Even if you're gluten-free, dairy-free like I am, the link is in the description below. And if you want to get organized to 2024, here's our undated planners. You can see every single page of every book on the sales page. Then the link is down below.
And you know, one thing about changing your mindset and changing your way of thinking on this stuff too, you're going to find you feel more confident about yourself. You will feel more secure. It's a dumb thing to mention, but I went to the thrift store. And for you quilters, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. I found some French General fabric, a whole yard of it. And this is some of them. I was going to look it up. I forgot to, but it's very expensive fabric. And I got it for $1, a whole yard of this. I was so excited. And I thought how I scored. I was so proud of myself that I scored so much on that fabric and everything. And it does something to you to build. Well, look, when we go thrifting, any of you that's seen our thrifting things, you just feel like a different person than than a person who's wallowing in their debt and think, well, I just can't have this or that or anything. It's a different feeling. And so we want that for you too, besides saving on the money type stuff.
Kimberly says you need to remember that half of the world's shipping companies cannot take a shortcut through the Red Sea due to the ongoing non-war between the US, UK, and Iran. EU farmer strikes on for weeks. It involves the truckers and the rail lines. We still have it better than Europe. Yeah, and that's why you need to be stocked up now.
Yeah, I saw that was happening.
Yeah, I'm going this week and getting my stock. I've been letting my stockpile go down, but I'm going this week and replenishing. And you know what? I'm not even buying it on sale. I'm just getting it because I know I always say stock up when things are on sale, but I was trying to wait until March, but I'm not going to wait when our canned goods sale goes here. I'm not going to wait. It is so crazy, the things that are going on in the world that we don't know from literally 1 second to the next what's going to be happening.
If you have medical things that you've been kind of putting off that needs to be done,
get it done.
You need to go get as much as you can done now. And don't forget to, stock up on some medicines, over-the-counter medicines and things like that too. Because I read that about where they couldn't go through the canal and everything. And that can eventually affect us in America too, really bad.
And, the problem isn't the economy. The problem is your spending. I don't care how poor you are. The problem is still your spending. Unless if you earn $12,000 or less a year, I'll even give you $15,000 or less a year, then you need to just earn more money. But the problem is, guys, it is your spending. You're buying things that are not necessities. And until you get cut back and get your debt paid off, you're not going to have any breathing room. The reason why Mike and I have breathing room now is because, and we can do fun things like go out, is because we have almost all of we have all of our consumer debt paid off. We don't have our house paid off yet, but we have everything else paid. We haven't had we have not had consumer debt since 1999. We have not had any car loans, no credit card debt, no student loans, no furniture loans, nothing. We have not had any consumer debt. We've had our mortgage that we were working on paying off, but we had no consumer debt. And do you know how freeing that was when Mike got laid off and we didn't have to worry about making all these minimum payments? We didn't have to worry so much because we could live on the unemployment for the 3 to 6 months while he was looking for a job.
And you can do it, guys. A lot of you who haven't been with us don't know, but I was 37, a single mom, and I'd paid off tens of thousands of dollars of debt of my husband's when he left us. But by the time I was 37, I had all the debt paid. I had no mortgage. I had no debt whatsoever. At the age of 37, there's a lot of married couples with both couples working that can't even, say that they have everything paid off by that age. So it's doable. What we're trying to say, we're not bragging or anything. We're just saying you can do this. You really can. Mm-hmm.
And go to our website, livingonadime.com. We sell our cookbooks. We sell our cookbooks. This is how we earn our living, by selling our cookbooks. But don't give me no lip about all you're doing is hawking your books. I have 1,500 pages on the website. Free articles and recipes. Mom has done menus, tons and tons of menus.
Tons of posts on the
articles
website.
On how to save money, get out of debt, and all of that. So I would say, don't give me I'll just ban you. If you put those kinds of comments on my channel, I just ban you because I don't want any of that baloney on my channel. It's ridiculous.
Because once again, you're using an excuse for not being able to. You're trying to come up. Yeah. By saying things.
Okay,
like that.
We're going to get to comments and questions here. Barbara says deja vu all over again. Yes, it is. Oh, yes. You said
Mike, can we show that thing that I had you do? Yeah. I found this picture.
Oh, I'm so cute.
I was watching Tara the other day when she was making her mushy lovey eye eyeballs.
Here, wait a minute, hold on. Oops, bring me back, dear.
Bring you.
There.
Yeah, to Mike the other day. I saw her doing that the other day.
You can bring
So
the other picture back.
Show the other picture. And I thought she's been doing that since she was 4 years old. That face, she's been making that face.
Oh, so
I thought
cute.
you guys would get a kick out of the face. Oh,
Is that my dress you made out of a house
yeah, I was
coat?
going to say, this dress she had on was not really a dress. I had this one I made out of old nightgown of mine. And I made this little nightgown for her. It's a little nightgown. And she was so sick. We were supposed to have our pictures, an appointment to have our pictures taken at the church for the directory. And she was running she was so sick. I felt so guilty, but we couldn't afford pictures or anything. So I left her in her pajamas, which was this nightgown, and wrapped her up in a blanket. And we took her to have her picture taken. And so that's her pajamas, but it looked like a little dress. And I thought it turned out cute. So anyway, but see, she's been making that face like that for years. So
you can come back to us, dear. See, I was just so cute, wasn't I? Oh, see, that's why you married me, huh, dear? Yep. No, you married me for my money, huh? All right, Vicky, OMG. In other words, grocery prices have not kept up with our wages, which is great. Yeah, I mean, pretty much as we looked across the board for rent, groceries, the only thing that has gone up, and that was only like 5 or 10 cents a gallon, was gas. That's the only thing that really was up, but it wasn't horrible. Rent is the same across the board. Food, grocery, wages are actually better. Wages are actually higher.
I'm sorry. When I was in high school and got my first official job working at a store, I got paid 50 cents an hour. 50 cents an hour.
Yeah. So in 1947, the average wage was $3,000, which was the equivalent of $40,000 now, and the average person makes $53,000. So the average family makes between $80,000 and $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So incomes have actually doubled for the family, but people don't want to cut back, and so it's your own darn tootin' fault. Sorry, it is. If
we've
you're
just
in
gotten
debt,
so used to this lifestyle, and we've been brainwashed. I remember I remember seeing a commercial. I don't know if it was for Virginia cigarettes or whatever, something like that. And they say, you're worth it. You deserve this. The minute they started coming out with those commercials saying that, I thought, we're in trouble now, because everybody's going to start doing this. And going to have the mentality that I deserve this, and they're going to spend their money when they don't have it. And then we get the credit cards, and it was just like a double whammy then.
Guys, type 1 if you liked my 2 comparison videos last week. Type 2 if you didn't like them. I'm kind of curious, because
On
the Dawn, Edifying says, y'all should test frozen pizzas. She said the DiGiorno was $10. Maybe we should see if Jack will test the frozen pizzas. He might do that. He's a pizza connoisseur. But let me tell you guys, be watching. All of you barkeepers, friends, lovers, all of you Comet lovers, I tested cleaning a stainless steel pan, and you guys are going to be shocked at what I found. I was actually shocked at what I found. I was like, I cannot believe the results of this test. I truly could not believe the results. I was totally shocked.
Did you tell them the difference between Barkeepers Friends and Comet, though?
Well, Comet has bleach in it.
Comet has bleach in it. A lot of people swear. I hear everybody talking about Barkeepers Friends, and it is good, but it has no disinfectant. And I know a lot of people clean their bathrooms with it and everything. And I get concerned because the cleaners that you use in your bathroom, you probably should use one that has a disinfectant in it.
Well, this was for a pan. This was for a stainless steel pan. I tested bathroom cleaners too.
Oh, okay.
But you know, it's coming up.
And so that's why I prefer Comet over Barkeeper's Friend, because it has the disinfectant in it. Though.
Oh, yay. Everybody's liking them. Well, good. So I am testing cleaning the back of a burned pan with cleaners. I tested the bathroom. That's coming up. And we also have 80 jobs for women over 50 is coming up.
80 jobs?
I found 80 jobs that women over 50 could do to earn extra money. And then we also have coming up, do we agree with Dave Ramsey? So those videos are coming up. Also, guys, on Super Easy Recipes, my other channel, we have a whole bunch of videos. Mike and I have been filming for 2 days. We still have 5 more days of filming to go. You guys are going to be loving the recipes coming up too. So go check that out. Michael put the link in there. L. Stewart says, I love your videos and learning. Yay. Thank you. And Jim got their van paid off. You go,
Way
Jim.
to go, Jim.
Lucy is a new subscriber. Thank you so much. Margot says, I listen to Living on a Dime every morning while on the treadmill. That is great. She's loving the older videos. Guys, go check out our cookbooks. 25% off right now in the description below, because L. Stewart says, I just got my volume 1. This is volume 1. And she's considering getting volume 2. Guys, totally different cookbooks. Totally different cookbooks. We just couldn't fit the recipes in here because this is 600 pages. And then if you're gluten-free, dairy-free, this is the same as our volume 1, except in a gluten-free, dairy-free edition.
And our cookbooks aren't just a cookbook where you have a pretty picture and then one recipe and then a pretty picture and one. It's full of tips. And we got what, 1,200 tips and
1,200 recipes and tips
in there. So we got cleaning tips and how to make homemade, cleaners and stuff like that. Everything's in there.
Yes. Hello, Jan in Montana.
Oh, neighbor.
Margie says the Romper Room lady, Sandra Hart, has a YouTube channel. Oh, really?
Oh my! You'll have to.
She's
go
now
check
85 years old.
You'll have to check her out. Oh, Tar's gonna look
way.
Tar's looking her up right now.
Does she really? What's funny is I didn't really like Romper Room.
Oh, I know what you.
That's her. I actually have been watching her.
Have you?
No way. That's the Romper Room lady? Oh my goodness. Hold on. I just watched her yesterday. Hold on. This is her. Okay, let me show you. Let me show you just a second. I can't believe that's her. Oh my goodness. Here, let me get it added. Oops. Hold on. Why is this not going away?
I didn't like hardly any of the shows you guys watched.
I didn't like.
Little.
I mean, I remember Romper Room, but I don't remember anything except for the dumb. Oh shoot! How does it show? Oh here.
Here it is.
This is her. I'm not kidding. I was just watching her videos the other day. Well, it was this video I was watching. Why I rethought my life with my husband in my 70s. I was just thinking the same thing.
Is she in her 70s now?
She's in her 80s.
Oh.
I was just thinking why I'm rethinking my life with my husband in my 50s.
Did you know about this,
just
Michael?
saying.
Did you know?
Just saying. It was a rough day. It was a rough day. I can't believe that's her. That is absolutely hilarious. Well, she actually does really good videos.
Does she?
Yeah. So,
of course, she's been in TV, so it's probably
that's hilarious. I have been watching her for like 3 weeks, and I can't believe it. Okay, that just shocked me. All right, Barbara. 1947 was the first full year after World War II. Inflation was high. Exactly, and that's why we picked that year. Because that was a huge inflation year, like 2023 was a huge inflation year. And guys, I get it. In 2022, I was telling you, inflation hasn't hit yet. It hasn't hit yet. It has hit now. But you still have to keep it in perspective.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you don't have a newborn, married with a newborn, washing out diapers where you have to walk to another building to wash out diapers, living in a 10-foot trailer. You're not doing that. So you need to get your perspective.
And the thing is, we didn't expect to do anything different. When my husband and I got married, we lived just in a small, it wasn't one of these big double wide things or extra long. Ours was like, I think it was 20 feet long, maybe. Trailer was our trailer, but we didn't expect anything else. So many couples now say, well, I just can't buy a house. And how am I supposed to get a down payment for a house? Well, we couldn't either, But we didn't expect it. We didn't think, well, we're supposed to have it. We just knew that's where you started. You did that and you just saved your money until you could get a down payment and just moved up from there. But now they want to live in a nice house and have a money for a down payment for their own house. And it just doesn't work that way, you know.
Yep. All right. Debbie loves my toupee today. Thank you, Debbie.
Don't lean too much over this direction. I'm afraid
Am I
it's gonna,
flopping again?
you're
No, it's
going the wrong
wrong
way.
direction.
You gotta push it the other. Oh,
This is I've been filming videos today. We filmed what, 5 videos or something, and
A bunch yesterday too.
5 or 6 yesterday, and 2 of them totally flopped today. So we got to redo them. Okay, that's all right. Cheryl, history repeats itself. It does. It absolutely does. Bridget, I'm diabetic and disabled. What food should I buy and spend very little for the week for me and my husband? Just stop eating so much food. I have been on a diabetic diet. I had gestational diabetes. I am pre-diabetic. I know all about diabetic diets, and it's just stop stuffing your face with so much food. You can eat bread. You can eat all this other stuff, but you're not sitting down and eating 3 cinnamon rolls at a time. You're eating a quarter or a half of a big cinnamon roll with your breakfast with some scrambled eggs. You're eating 3 meals a day without snacking all the time. That's my problem. I just snack all the time.
and I've said this before. My grandma had diabetes all of her life. Nobody knew it because she ate everything that anybody else did when she go to somebody's house or whatever. She just was careful.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
she
stop
was just
eating
careful.
so much food.
It's
Yeah.
like I'm gluten-free, I'm diabetic, I'm sugar-free, I'm this free. So when you go to somebody's house, well, they feel like they have to do special meals for you. You shouldn't even let anybody know that you're on a special diet, really, but everybody does now. So I'm not saying just for you, you know, but because everybody does it now. It's you can eat. If I go to somebody's house and I was diabetic, they usually have salad or they have a vegetable and they have some kind of meat normally and something like that. I can carefully eat all of those things. It's like you're just having to give up some stuff, but everybody has to give up something on their diet. You know, you just have to pick and choose what it is you have to give up.
Yeah.
I have to give up chocolate sometimes, but
yeah. All right. Kimberly, look at the old menu planning. They actually are pretty good. Yeah, old menu plannings. The thing is, here's the thing. Mom fixed breakfast and everyone sat down and ate breakfast. Mom fixed lunch if they were home and everyone sat down and ate lunch. And my family is just as bad. It wasn't people roaming in and out of the kitchen all day long snacking. My family is just as guilty. I'm not going to say they're not. I'm just saying this is why back then, Mom controlled the food that everybody ate.
I did 3 meals a day. I fixed 3 meals a day for us. And another thing that if you'll notice in those old menus, they don't have huge amounts of stuff. They'll maybe have hot cereal, toast, and juice, and that'll be it. They don't have huge amounts of anything for their meals, you know, like 4 or 5 or 10 items to eat and stuff. So
yeah. Okay, let's see. Wanda, we might have higher prices, but we have higher wages. We have way higher wages.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean,
the wages are much higher than it used to
evened
be.
out. Doesn't matter what people say. The facts are it has evened out and we have stayed the same. So it's not really that big. We are actually better off now. I watched the best show with Amir Safante. He was on Facebook Live. It was like, I don't know, 3-4 days ago. And he had this atheist on. He was very interesting talking about climate change because this was when the old Davos thing was going on. And he said, the more people that are on the planet, the more prosperous we have become.
Oh, that makes sense.
He said, because the innovation gets more, the production gets more, there's more people working. He said, we are at an all-time low in worldwide poverty.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was, I think, if I remember right, I may be wrong, but I think he said it was like 10% of the world lives in actual poverty now.
Mm-hmm.
He said that's the lowest it's ever been. It was very, very interesting. I was like, oh my goodness, this man is spot on. He was very
Speaking about climate change, I heard a funny thing on the radio this morning. I get so frustrated with this stuff, that we don't do this or that, or we don't buy this or that, then it's going to destroy the world or whatever. And we had to do all the recycling. Remember a few years back, you had to start recycling. Now we got the extra trash cans. I don't recycle. I've never recycled one thing. And I've always said that I've never recycled anything, but I probably recycle and do better than the best recyclists in the world. But guess what they said on the radio? The guy said he was getting ready to put his recycling cardboard boxes in the recycling bin, and his kindergarten or first grade daughter came out and said, "Dad, you can't do this. You can't recycle anymore." Our teacher told us that now they're finding out that it's costing more and making more damage doing the recycling than if you just put it in the regular landfill. And he said he couldn't believe it. And the daughter said, "Yeah, Dad, don't recycle." So now we've already come like the 20 years, 30 years, and now they've come back to, they just keep doing this stuff. So I never jump on the bandwagon for any of these things,
El Stewart wants to know how often we break bread. I mean, I bake it as a dessert. I don't bake it to save money.
Yeah.
Although I might at $1.42 a loaf, I might start making some bread, but really, it's still super cheap to buy it, so I don't bake it.
Yeah, and you've got to consider this. I baked bread for several years for my family, and I had to stop baking bread because I found out it was costing me more to bake the bread than to go buy it, because I would bake a loaf of bread, and, well, I do 2 at a time, and my family would almost have a whole loaf and a half eaten in one day. And so I'd have to bake some more the next day. Where the store-bought loaf, it's not quite the same as homemade. So, of course, they weren't digging into it. And like Tara said, they weren't eating it like a dessert. So I didn't have to buy it as often. So consider some of these things. Yes, it sounds like you're saving money by doing some of these things from scratch. But if you're eating twice as much of it, then it's maybe not, worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the ingredients and everything.
Wanda, didn't they make more food from scratch back then? Yes, but here's the thing. Don't just think you have to go back and make everything from scratch. You don't have to go back and make everything from scratch. Where it is getting people is the top few things sold in stores are, the number one thing is pre-cut fruits and vegetables. It's ridiculous. Spend the 5 minutes to cut your own fruits and vegetables. The second thing is the pre-packaged chips for lunches. The third thing is soda.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the top, and bananas are the number one thing. And after bananas, then it's those 3 things. It's ridiculous. Just stop buying all the junk food.
And you've got to start being more careful. It says that in the end times that people are going to be deceived. That means they're going to be told a lie. You've got to be very careful, because we're led to believe, like with the bottled water and with the cut up fruit. And remember when you did the oatmeal in the Tars had the cup with a packet of oatmeal in it to microwave it, and was like $5 or $6. And she said, why would anybody pay $5 or $6 to have this one thing serving of oatmeal when they could do, regular oatmeal? She said, nobody's going to fall for this. But the minute she said that, I remember many years back, I was thinking the same thing about bottled water, about first time I saw pre-cut fruit. I said, who in the world is going to pay this much money to have somebody cut up their fruit?
Amy says they're now selling grilled cheese sandwiches for the microwave.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And I'm thinking, who would buy this? But look at, everybody's been deceived and has fallen for this line that they're giving everybody, that to get this stuff. So be careful, guys, on this stuff. You're going to have to open your eyes up and think about this with common sense. Can I find something cheaper, and is this really worth it?
Yep. Can you send me the next one, Mike? Found in Badland in 46, there was no 2 cars. Yeah. Family's gas was 20. The next. Okay. Mortgage rates were less than 5%, and no one took vacations everywhere. Exactly. People think vacations are a right. I got news for you. They're not a right. Date night is not a right. Mike and I never got date night except for our anniversary for We didn't start doing date nights until we had been married 25 years. We did not have a babysitter. I wasn't about to just leave my kids with anyone willy-nilly. And the babysitting I did get was from mom watching the kids while I went to the doctor.
But you didn't live next to me then, too, when you had Jack and Dave when they were little. You moved to Colorado.
I know. But then even when mom was living with us for a few months, she was just helping during the day with BJ and Ellie or whatever. But Mike and I never went on date night. She would watch them for our anniversary. But other than that, we didn't go on date nights for 25 years. 25 years.
I helped her watch them a lot during the day and different things like that. So she didn't feel right in asking me to stay at
like it was
night
doctor's
too.
office and stuff like that. And so we didn't have grandparents to just watch just so we could go on vacation or go out. I mean, there was a couple of times when Mike had to go for a conference out of town that I went with him, but it was literally 2 nights. Like we would fly there, be gone one night, be gone the next night, and fly home the next day. And it really wasn't a vacation. But, people act like these things are rights, and they're not.
Well, that's what I was saying
you
earlier
just got to suck it up,
I deserve it. We deserve it, and it doesn't work that way, really.
Wanda, they didn't have as many options either. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
No bottled water, Tanya says. Yep. Joanna, how often did people eat steak back then? Now people complain they can't afford their steak. People just didn't eat it back then. Exactly. If they couldn't afford it, they didn't eat it. Vicky, if we lived a lifestyle that they had in the 40s with our income compared to prices, we would all be millionaires.
Yeah.
Yes, you would.
Good point. Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of this. Thank you for saying what I was actually trying to say. That's
the
exactly the point.
Middle class person nowadays lives almost like millionaires used to. Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Margie, I lived in a little Airstream trailer on my grandparents' property. Was one of my first places was a trailer house that was on my grandparents' lot. Meg, Don, I prep all meals and snacks and lunch for 3 adults and almost 2 kids, 350. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's super easy. And I spend $400 a month and I buy stuff like coconut milk and gluten-free bread and stuff like that. I am not cut back by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no.
Mindy, I've got to share my news with Living on a Dime. I'm meeting my long lost sister from England on Friday. She's flying from England to meet us in New Hampshire. Wow.
Oh, how exciting.
Cool.
Let us know what happens if you would.
That's pretty neat.
Is exciting.
Teresa, I found my grandfather's World War II or W-2 from the railroad. He made like $200 a year. Wow. That's crazy. Becky, I live in the house I was born in, 1947, and trust me, it is a tiny compared to even small houses today. Yeah. Yeah.
I lived in a 1940 house before I got this house here, and I lived in one, a 1917 house, which was really big. It's really odd because it was huge, but the 1940 house was real tiny. But what I found out since moving into my newer house, that 1940s house was so convenient,
Yeah.
They built them in such a way they were very convenient and very handy compared to my newer house that I'm living in now, which I was really surprised.
Nancy says, I have someone that we know that's paying $200 a month to dye her hair, dollars for treatments, and to look younger, eats out often, but cannot afford her rent. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. Yeah. Bully Porter Jones says, and really hear people gripe about what's at the food bank. She said it's free. Shaking my head. I know.
It's like,
Wanda says at grocery outlet today, gallons of milk were $3.49, half gallons $3.99. Go figure. And people probably bought the half gallons. Beth, I got 5 dozen eggs today for $10.38. Wow, $2 a dozen. Okay, that's not awful. Cindy says, my grandmother once told me that during the 40s, she got hamburger for 25 cents a pound, but grandpa only made $7 a week. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We didn't, my husband made, it was like $175 or something like that when we first got married, and they gave him extra $65 because we got married. So we didn't even make $300 a month. It was closer to like $250, $265, something like that. And that was in the 70s. So, that wasn't a whole lot to live on 250 to 265 a month. It really wasn't. But we did fine. We actually did fine.
Jacqueline says, I just got in from the grocery store and my husband will be home in 25 minutes. I've taken your advice and pre-cooked my hamburger supper. Will be ready in 15 minutes. We're having tacos. Yay!
Doesn't that make a difference?
Nice.
It really helps to get that meat pre-cooked.
Dining on a Dime Cookbooks, Volume 1 and 2. If you want a really good taco meat recipe that you can make 7, I think it's 7 different dinners with it. Dining on a Dime, Volume 2. Volume 1 is to start if you want to save money with easy recipes that get you in and out of the kitchen quick with ingredients that you already have on hand. Elaine, what did that lady, serve for lunch with no meat? Just PB&J maybe? So probably peanut butter and jelly. Maybe like a lot of times they didn't consider eggs meat. So maybe an egg salad.
Mm-hmm.
Tomato sandwiches, cucumber sandwiches,
radish
sandwiches, yeah,
cheese sandwiches all the time, cheese sandwiches, or soup or something like that, yeah.
Let's see. Somebody said, what was who was it? Susan. What was the $12 equal? I wrote that down. Let me see. Well, I thought I did. Hold on. Let me go and look here real quick. The $12.40, $12.40 in my inflation calculator here. It is $169 a week now. So yeah, I mean, I feed us for $100 a week. So super easy. Becky, 1947, my husband's grandparents didn't have indoor plumbing. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, we heard stories all the time about mom's aunts and her grandmother didn't have plumbing. So Lisa, did most people have gardens in the 1940s? No, they didn't.
They didn't. Now,
they might have had victory gardens after the war, but I guarantee you after the war was done, they scrapped the gardens because none of my grandmothers had a vegetable garden.
And they lived out in the country.
Yeah.
A lot, some of them lived out in the country.
Yeah. They may have had them for the war just to help supplement their family's food during the war. But as soon as the war was over, my grandmas, they made everything from cans.
Yeah.
It was all canned.
I was going to say, everybody said she
Yeah.
cooked from scratch, but if you know, she had some canned goods there. Mm-hmm. And once those canned goods started coming
back.
Yeah, and they started getting the convenience foods, they bought their bread at the store. I mean, they started, I forget when they first started selling bread, sliced bread at the store. And those women, they loved, they didn't bake bread every day. We have this weird concept that they were in the kitchen all day. Now, some of you may have a farm grandmother that did it, but that wasn't the normal. Most people went to the store and bought their bread. They didn't bake their bread. They didn't make everything from scratch, So I always laugh because I think I said it the last time I was on, we have this strange concept of what life was like back then because we look at magazines from then and we look at books from then, and that's not what it was. Every day was like, look at us. If we go and look at a Better Homes and Garden and see all these houses in a Better Homes and Gardens from nowadays, and somebody like 100 years in the future would look at that. Most of us don't have a house that looks like a Better Homes and Garden house or a garden that looks in there like that in there. Most of us don't have that. So that's a false idea of what it was like then. And these magazines with all these recipes in them, it makes you think that everybody does cooking, from scratch. You just didn't do that. And we don't do it now. So we have this false concept that people are selling, that's not what it was really like.
Well, and I have a fairly, not a huge, but I have a good sized vegetable garden, and I hate dealing with the vegetables. I like growing vegetables, but I was looking at the tomatoes in my freezer and the squash in my freezer the other day, thinking about just throwing it away because I'm like, I don't even want to deal with these. I don't like canning. I'm not going to can. Canning doesn't save money necessarily. And so it's like, why do that if I can just buy canned food? So yeah,
you're not saving that much, and it's really not any more nutritious. No matter what they say, a green bean is a green bean, whether it's in a can or fresh from the garden. It may taste slightly different, but not enough for all the hard work you have to go through, probably.
Vicky says, imagine having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night during winter with no indoor plumbing. I agree with Tara. We've got it
I
made.
know.
Yeah,
It was
people have
horrible.
no idea.
That was awful, having to go to the bathroom at night. And we'd have to take a bath at my girlfriend's. They had a shed out away from the house, and they had a tub in there, and we had to go out there in this little metal tub thing. I hated it. There was a light bulb hanging down, and the bugs would get around the light bulb, and then they'd fall down into the tub. It was gross. Yeah.
Anna, thank you so much for that super chat. She
thank
says,
you.
we had to boil the water in a fireplace to wash up, and the bathroom was a modern house with a hole in the middle and only 42. I remember those days. I know.
I was going to say,
no idea.
That's exactly why nobody took a shower every single day, and you usually took a bath once a week, and everybody survived doing that. And I don't remember anybody smelling back then either, really, or anything.
Lori, saltine crackers were 99 cents a box here. That's a good deal.
That is good.
Cindy, this generation keeps building debt and consolidating their bills to pay later. I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's ridiculous. Wanda says, I'm flipping my lid with my toupee.
You should make it spraying you with
Yeah.
the thing, so whenever you get all hot and bothered, you can just squeeze it and let it go up.
There it goes. Mary Jane, does it seem like people eat more and are bigger? Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. That's just
fat.
such a given.
This whole country is fat.
One of our main
my
things
goodness.
that I have a post, I think, on the website, that you will save 50% on your grocery bill and you'll lose weight at the same time if you use our tips and ideas. And we have more people now that are saying that they started being careful on buying their groceries and doing portion size. Like I say, just get what you need for daily calories and no more. And they're losing weight. And I should write a book about that, maybe.
No, we're not doing
We
that
could
anymore.
write a book
We're
about
done.
it and make some good money off
We're
of
done. Down in the Badlands, 10-minute showers live on a well, 2 minutes tops here. Yeah.
Oh,
that
yeah.
happens here in Wyoming all the time. Water is very scarce for people who aren't on city waters. And we know a family, and they spend a lot of money on their house, and they literally can't take more than a 2-minute shower because there will be no water left. It's really sad. Let's see. Deborah says she has all 3 of our cookbooks and she loves them. Thank you
thanks.
so much. You guys can see every page of our cookbook in the description below. Just click the link and on there is a video where you can see every page. Carissa, been living off of 12,000 or 100,000. I had less with the 100,000. Yep, you probably did. Marilyn, made my own pizza crust, my own pizza and spaghetti sauce. Yep, there you go. If you guys need a really good pizza and spaghetti sauce recipe, right here, Dining on a Dime, Volume 1. Also on our website, livingonadime.com. Some of it's pride, Susan says, to buy used or name brand. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
Miriam, is it Christian to buy the lottery? I would say no. The Bible says that we're really not supposed to be foolish with our money, and I would say playing the lottery is foolish. So I would say no, it's not. I think the Bible specifically says something about not gambling, although I don't know where. But I would say no, just on the principle of being a good steward of your money.
And if you are a Christian, I'm not talking to you that asked the question about the lottery, but we're talking about saving money and everything. It is wise stewardship. If you're a Christian, you need to start stepping up to the plate and doing wise stewardship with your money the way the Bible says.
I think
the way the Bible says, because you wonder why you're not blessed sometimes. And God, if you're not using what he's given you wisely, he's already given you, if you're not using that wisely,
I don't expect him to give you more.
Yeah, he's not going to bless you with more necessarily. So be wise with what you do have.
T. Trilla says, I'm so impressed. I had no idea. I always thought that everything was more expensive. I never thought about comparing the two. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to compare apples to apples, and people don't do that. All right. Mary says, I found a discount store that carries groceries finally. Like really good deals. 12 pints of blueberries for $4. That's great.
Wow.
There we go. I hope you stocked up. Janika, we raised our 5 kids on my husband's job only. He's disabled, so we are now working on getting our house paid off. We are in our late 60s. Good for you.
Good.
Donna says, Volume 1, the recipe for bacon bean soup, page 140 is what are ranch-style beans. They're beans that have a little bit of pepper in them, already canned up. Pat,
They're called that, aren't they?
they're called that.
That's the name of them, is ranch style
It's
beans.
actually called that. But if you can't find them, just add a little bit of a pepper in there.
Mm-hmm.
Pat McCormick, I made your honey garlic chicken. Oops, wrong book. Volume 2, page 258. Big hit with the hubby. You have lots of good money-saving ideas. Thank you. And everybody's loving the cute picture of me. I was just so cute.
You were so cute. She was cute. She was cute. Well, it's not that she's not cute now, but
Thanks,
I mean,
Mom.
I remember standing when she was born in the nursery, and, you know, they have the window and you can look at all the babies in there. And I was standing there looking at her, and these other people were standing there looking at the babies too. And I heard one say to the other, look at that one. Isn't that the prettiest baby? And I thought, yes, it's mine. It's mine. It was Tara. She was so cute when she was born.
Bounty in the Badlands, we've been totally debt-free since 2012. Now hubby is looking to expanding the ranch another 600 acres, 2.2 million. I'm not sleeping well the last few nights. Well, I don't blame you.
Wow. Yeah.
I would not do that. I'm sorry. I mean, if you have the cash to pay for it, then go ahead. But I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
Especially as a rancher.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Becca. People have added so many expenses: cars, phones, devices, monthly services, aesthetics. Yeah, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Vicki, thank you for going over the article because it really opens our eyes to how much better we have it nowadays. We really do.
Yeah.
We have it 1,000 times better now than any other time in history. I don't care what anybody says. They're lying if they tell you it's not.
Well, we've used this example before too. During World War II, when it was starting, and was it World War I or I think it was World War II, when the guys were joining up, the farm boys and stuff were going in to join up. It was World War I. Join up. They went and found out that most of these were boys that were
organic farms.
Yeah, been raised on these farms. They were malnourished because they didn't have pesticides. They didn't have insecticides or nothing. And so they couldn't grow the crops. And that's why Tara and I are so adamant about, you know, not worrying about using pesticides and that type of stuff, because you don't realize what it was like back then without those. They didn't have enough food for people.
Yeah.
That's why we're so healthy and have plenty of weight on us now, is because then they started using the pesticides and insecticides, and people were able to actually get food at this time. So
Kitsy says, my grandmother used to talk about how they had very simple meals. A lot of potatoes, would go out and pick out a chicken on Friday morning and to make for soup. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Margot made your 2-ingredient turkey right here for the first time. Everyone loved it. The rest went into the freezer. That is good.
Good.
Miriam, portion control was second nature back then. Yes. Mike, can you send me the next ones?
You had no choice. And they would Mom would make a thing of potato soup, and they'd maybe have it for lunch and dinner, or 2 lunches in a row or something, just simple. And I was thinking of this the other day. This shows you another way they would do things. My mom, when I was young, we'd have potato soup. She would boil up potatoes. She'd pour milk on the potatoes, and she would add salt and pepper. That's all that went into our potato soup. Now we make the potatoes, we put milk in there, we add some cheese, we had chicken broth, and bacon bits and all these extra things in our potato soup. We just had the potato with the milk. And so that's why I'm saying we season and have to add so many more sauces and extras on top of everything. It causes us to spend more money and gain weight at the same time.
Yep. Let's see. Emery Shea says, my dad is an accountant and has often helped people with their taxes. He sometimes would point out to couples that the wife really wasn't making any money after all the expenses. I know. We see it time after time. Thank you for
telling us that, because we tell people this all the time and they just have a hard time believing it.
So then I asked my mom, who's in her upper 80s, if she portion controls, she said we didn't snack between meals and had small meals. Yep,
Mhm.
because they didn't have food. They couldn't afford the food.
Yeah.
When you're 60% of your income's going to your food, you're not going to be eating all day long.
And kids graze now. It's like Tara was talking earlier. They just come in all during the day and just grab this and grab that, and not just food. I get so frustrated that with people letting their kids drink tons of juice and milk and chocolate milk and pop and all that. And we blame diabetes and kids being overweight on fast foods and all this other stuff. It's the juice and the milk and the stuff and letting them graze all day long. That's way worse than any of that stuff.
Heather says, the last time I saw your videos, we all were looking to move. Did y'all move? You have not watched us for a while. We moved 2.5 years ago.
No, we've been here almost 4.
Well, 3 years in July, but
Yeah.
2.5 years ago we moved. We made it to Wyoming and we love it here. And there's a lot of snow. So if you're thinking about moving here,
Nobody,
there's a lot
you don't
of
want to
snow.
move to Wyoming. No, we
Diana,
love it so much.
do you think people should be setting aside money for savings and investments each pay period? Yes, you should have your savings. You should get 6 months worth of savings up. You can do that. The average American family can do that. They just don't want to. Do you pre-cook your roasts? I mean, what I do is I cook a roast and then make 3 or 4 meals from them. So yes, actually super easy recipes. My other channel, I have probably either Saturday or a week from Saturday. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. I'm having how I cook one roast and make 3 meals out of it.
Yeah, so you can cook a roast like on Monday, and then you can divide that up and have like the next 3 or 4 days a roast meal, and it won't be like leftovers, because you can do different stuff with it.
Yeah. Vicky says she earns her money on eBay. Had a great sale yesterday. Yep.
Oh, good.
Danny, you can clean the back of the burn pan with dirt. Watch a man do this. Of course, you wash it good afterwards. Huh. That would be interesting to test.
Yeah, we used to do that when we went camping. We'd get sand out of the creek and we'd rub in the olden days when we'd camp outside.
You said it, not me. Okay, let's see. Carolyn says, keep the videos coming. Thank you. Okay, we don't. Oh, Michelle says, do we ship? I was like, post to Ireland. What does that mean? Mail things to Ireland? No, we don't ship anything outside the U.S. You can thank your countries. I'm so sorry, but Canadians, Europeans,
we wish we could.
Australians, I'm sorry. It is your taxes and your customs and your governments that have prevented us from doing that. So I'm very, very sorry.
You can get it on for an ebook. You can get an ebook. Yeah.
Christina says, are recipes generally easy? Yes, you really can't get any easier.
Oh, no. And we used to sell these at like homeschooling conventions and stuff because they love using these books even to teach kids how to cook out of them. A lot of them, use that, homeschoolers do. And we've even had home ec people wanting to use them. And what's so funny is a lot of these gals say, my teenage son or my 20-year-old son loves start cooking out of them, which I've always thought was kind of funny, that the young boys like it.
Susan, do we think we should step up our prepping? I would say don't back down on your prepping. I mean, I don't know how prepped you are. So I would say at least have 3 months of food. If you have this space, I would get at least 3 months worth of food stockpiled in your house, if possible, at least. But I realize not everyone can have that space, but you'll be really surprised. I live in a 400 square foot apartment and I was able to do it. So it's just a matter of doing it, but I would certainly not let your preps get down.
And when you think of prepping, we always think food because yes, that's first and foremost. But what I'm thinking and trying to do is anything I think I might need, like if I need a rug because my living room was cold, and so I thought a rug would help keep it a little bit warmer. If I need something like that, I make sure my car is in good repair. And just anything, do you have plenty of tape? Do you have...
I do, because I just bought 200 rolls, which you guys are going to see on Friday.
Tape and candles and matches and just everyday stuff, pieces of furniture. If you need furniture to sit on or a dining room table, try to get as much of that stuff bought now.
At thrift stores and garage sales if you have debt.
Yeah, I don't mean to go into debt getting this stuff, but you know, if you've got the savings for it, see, I've got enough saved up that I'm starting to go and try to get as much of that stuff as I can.
Sarah, shout out from Kansas. I'm saving as much as I can. Sells coupons. Dylan's. We know Dylan's.
Yes,
I have
yay,
less than 2
Kansas.
years left on my car. Then we'll only have house payments. Love listening to your advice, which more people thought like that. Thank you.
Way to go. Yay,
One
Kansas.
Made your pork chop dinner. I think it's volume 1. It was great. Today I'm adding more vegetables and some liquid to make a stew. That's the way you do it.
Yep.
She's going to make homemade biscuits, Mike's baking powder biscuits. Very delicious. And on our website, livingonadime.com. Karen says, I had always hoped that Romper Room would say my name. And Denise said, she never said my name. I understand. I always waited for my name. And then when she didn't when she didn't call my name, I didn't watch anymore. No, Johnny, you're not blocked. Let's see. Ginger, I'm having a rough time. Grab your QT cup, bake the peanut butter cookies from volume 1. They are the best peanut butter cookies ever. Thank you. Aren't they delicious? Lynn, I actually love the Dawn Power Wash, but not so much for dishes. I use it for deep cleaning, especially dirty wood. I spray it on the rag, scrub immediately, then rinse with clean cloth water. For dishes, I wet the dish, spray immediately, and scrub. It works. I only use it for baked on dishes, and I left the sink overnight. Listen, guys, go watch my test video I did on Monday. The Dawn Power Wash is the biggest scam of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just shocking that people are paying $6 for a bottle of 20 cents worth of ingredients. I mean, it's fine if you want to make your own, but just get the Walmart Blue dish soap. That's another test that's coming up. But just get the Walmart Blue dish soap and put a little bit of rubbing alcohol in there. 4 tablespoons of dish soap, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, fill the rest with water, and you've got a better cleaner. So,
but too, what I have a problem with a lot of times, Tara didn't mention in the video, I don't think, a lot of these things they'll take and say, well, to do a pan, let's say the pan's cookie and stuck on. So people say I put baking soda in there, and then I put a little vinegar in there, and I maybe put a little Dawn in there, and then I fill it with water. Okay, I've just listed off 4 things that you put in there that you have to buy and that you have to use. All that I do is when I have a pan that's stuck like that, I fill it with water, set it on the burner, let it get heated up, and let it set while I'm eating dinner. And when I come back, I just clean it off. Well, all that I have is water in there. I don't have to go getting the vinegar out, getting the baking soda out. You're getting 4 times as much work, and you're paying for more stuff. Keep it simple on all these cleaning things. I'm watching this stuff, and so many people are doing so much more work than they have to. It takes more steps to walk over and get the vinegar, more steps to walk over and get the soda and put in there. And then you got to take it and put all this stuff back. You're making things way more complicated than it needs to be. Keep it simple, for doing that stuff.
Robin says, I've used Not Just Beans. So Not Just Beans is the original name of our Dining on a Dime cookbook, a resource for a very long time. I'm ready to buy the new cookbooks. I know they will be another great resource. Thank you. Actually, we have more tips and recipes in this over Not Just Beans. We did update it. I mean, all the original recipes are in there, but we've also added more. So you'll get a bonus there.
Yeah.
Debbie says, I bought your cookbook for Christmas and I brought it with me on our way to visit our daughter in Florida. Hey, that was great.
That's sweet.
Valley of the Badlands. And I see Timmy, Susie, Anna, and there's Bobby and John. She never said my name. I'm just going to start saying all of you guys' names.
Yeah, we should do that at the beginning. Start telling everybody.
All of you guys who are here at the beginning, I'm going to start saying your. I'm going to get my
Yours.
Okay, I have to remember that. Okay. Let's see. Allison says she made the potato soup from Dining on a Dime, Volume 1. It's delicious. Thank you. Carissa, I think my grandparents' experiences during the Depression grounded me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing is, Mom and I have lived through that. The problem is we've had 2 generations that have not had any sort of major anything happen for almost 80 years now. 2 full generations. We're working on the 3rd and 4th generation now.
Not us, but our country or the world.
Our country,
yeah.
where there has not been any true economic problems. None of these recessions have actually meant anything. There's been no depression. There's been no wars. When you guys think about it, between 1914 And 19 when World War II in 46.
46 or 7, yeah.
46. Between 1914 and 1946, they had World War I. They had the Spanish flu. They had the Depression. They had the Dust Bowl. And then they go into World War II. All within 20 years, they had 5 major life things happen.
Mm-hmm. It was just one continual
Horrible
thing.
life. Yeah, I guess 30 years. Life things happen. We've had nothing happen that's even close to COVID. I'm sorry. That was absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The government made it into something more than it needed to be, but it was absolutely nothing compared to the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
It was nothing. And so we're just a bunch of spoiled brats is what it amounts to. And nobody knows how to actually have true economic hardship where you may only be able to eat toast for 3-4 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
Or, 3 meals and 2 snacks a day. That may be all you're able to eat. So
and it won't be artisan bread and all the fancy breads
Yeah.
and all the fancy.
Margot says she had a teacher in junior high and her toupee fell off in front of the class. I'm waiting for that to happen.
I can just imagine
I'm
the classroom
waiting for
of
that to
kids
happen.
watching that happen.
Oh my goodness. I'm just waiting
would
for
be
that to happen.
Good.
Oh.
Poor teachers, what these poor teachers deal with.
Yeah. All right. Everybody's loving the romper room lady, Sandra Hart. Yeah, she's really interesting. I watched 3 or 4 videos of hers, so I decided to stay with Mike in case you guys were wondering. Kitsy.
What?
Well, I went to decide if I was going to stay or not in our marriage. And I watched this other lady.
Her episode was talking about her and her husband were deciding on their
if they were going to stay or
life.
together or not after 30 years of marriage. I didn't ask your opinion. I didn't want your opinion.
You don't know if I want to stay or not?
Yeah,
I have to stay no matter what.
you have to stay no matter what. Kitsy, it's okay to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The whole concept of fancy food is ridiculous.
Yes.
Believe me.
We're making it too hard. We're making the food stuff too hard. It's a god now.
Cindy, can you address the taxes and the increase? We own identical ground in 2 different counties and pay $15,000 in taxes in one county and $8,000 in another. We are farmers. So it just amounts to what they are paying for in your counties. So like one county, they have more social services, they have better roads, they have better fire and all this than another county. And it just depends on what your county decides they're going to pay for. So like here in Wyoming, we have way better services than we did in Kansas, but our taxes are higher for property taxes than they were in Kansas. But income taxes are 0 here. But yeah, so it just depends. So for us financially, while we're working, we're actually saving tens of $1,000s a year in taxes by moving here compared to Kansas and Colorado where we lived before. So now once we retire, that'll change. But MF, our grocery budget for a family of 3, including all my husband's lunches, is $400. There you go. Let's see. Darlene says, I love baking bread. The Amish friendship bread just made cinnamon rolls. So good. Yes, I think that's volume 1, I think. Katie, my grandma said that they would slice meat very thin. Yes. During the Depression. Yes, they would.
Even
it's
now,
not these hunks of meat that people
even
have
now. Well, when I have like that wafer thin lunch meat, sometimes I only put 1 or 2 of those things on. Most people put like a third of a package, and we'll put roast, and then we'll put turkey on top of that, and we'll add 2 different kinds of cheeses on it. You just had the thin meat, and that was it.
Jay Moore says, I just burn boxes. Everyone around has a fire pit, not paying extra for recycling bins. Yeah. Here you don't pay extra. You just have to have it. But I totally get it. I just burn everything.
Mm-hmm.
Scarlett, I saw a lady buy pre-cut apples. Lord have mercy an apple. I know, but that's the #1 selling thing in grocery stores is pre-cut apples, watermelon, cantaloupe, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower.
I was going to say all the vegetables.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Brenda, when we make a home-cooked meal, be extremely proud of yourself and take pride in this. Very good. Yes. Yeah. JT, what are your go-to dishes at the Chinese restaurant you frequent? So we don't frequent it. We go like twice a year now.
Let's see. We
but
start at the beginning and go all the way down and back up
I don't know.
again.
We just try one of everything,
Yeah, we
really. We
do.
don't have a favorite that I would necessarily say. But if you guys want home cooked Chinese food that's really good, right here, Dining on a Dime cookbook, we have orange. Let me see real quick. We have orange chicken. We have sweet and sour chicken. We have
Egg rolls.
Egg rolls is in volume 1. Let's see here. Let me look at the page real quick.
Do you have wontons?
240. We don't have the wontons. We have right here. It is honey garlic, sesame,
Sweet and
garlic
sour.
chicken, orange chicken, lemon chicken, apricot chicken, all for Chinese ones in here if you need it. And it's a lot cheaper than buying it at the grocery store in the pre-made things. And it's super easy, guys. We're talking 5 minutes. So,
we have a stir fry in there too, don't we? In one of them.
yeah. Sue says, I remember butter and sugar sandwiches and Ovaltine. Yeah. L. Stewart says, what about cheese, block, or shredded? Whichever is cheaper. Just go by the ounce or pound, and that's how we do it. Tara, what stores do you shop at? So we only have 3 stores in our town. We have a small family grocery store, Albertsons, and Walmart. I shop mostly at Walmart for everything but meat. And then meat, I usually get on sale at the small family grocery store or Albertson. So that's how we do it. Melissa, we will be making the last payment on our rental house, which was mine before we married 12 years early on a 30-year mortgage. Very good.
Very good. You guys are doing good.
Good job. Becky, have we ever dehydrated eggs? No, we have not dehydrated them. I know you can, but we haven't done it.
Yeah.
Froze family, hello. We got married in 1988. We live in a 1-bedroom apartment, 1 gas burner, no heat, no AC on the 12th floor, no elevator. Oh my goodness. Okay, you had me till the full 12th floor elevator. Wow, no gym for you guys.
See, they saved on gym membership. That's the way you got to think of this stuff.
We had hot water in the summer and cold in the winter. Oh my goodness gracious. Guys, we are so spoiled now. It's not even funny.
Well, that's one way I learned to take a really quick 3 to 5 minute shower less is I keep my heat down so low in the winter time. So it's pretty cool when I get up in the morning. And you get in that shower and you get out again really fast when it's that cold in the house, So some of these things are positive for you, save you in different ways.
Julie says, my granny just made a huge pan of biscuits and that was your bread. Yep,
yeah.
Exactly. That's what my grandpa, his mom would just have a bowl that she just kept flour in all the time. And in the center, as a matter of fact, that recipe is in volume 1, I think. And I'm going to make it for super easy recipes, but she would just keep a big bowl of flour sitting out all the time, pick out the flies and the weevils, and just pour her milk in there and add her baking powder, and she would just do that. Yeah. Let's see. Nancy, when we were young, our stores only had in-season fruits and vegetables. Yeah. People don't do that anymore. Katie, before I stayed home, I worked as a nurse, a dermatologist. He said people use way too much product on their skin and hair. Yep.
I've said that for years.
I wash my hair once a week.
I do twice a week with baking soda. I don't even use anything else on my hair.
Ginger says, but those peanut butter cookies, wow, you guys are loving the peanut butter cookies in volume 1 are so good.
Oh,
livingonadime.com, you can get the recipe.
Those peanut butter cookies are they were my mom's and my grandma's. I think they were my grandma's too. And they are just good old fashioned peanut butter cookies. And I've been taking them, a couple of years back, I would take them to get-togethers, like for church or, family get-togethers or something. People would snarf those silly peanut butter cookies down so fast because they love them. They're like an old-fashioned treat. Like homemade bread is, everybody loves homemade bread. The peanut butter cookies have memories attached to them for some reason. And you know what? They're so cheap to make. You don't need to take a big expensive dessert to all these social functions. Just take good old peanut butter cookies, and they love them. I took them to my quilt bee, and they went crazy over them,
Amanda, do you have any advice on vacuum cleaners? Yes, I have given up on vacuum cleaners, and I just buy the $50 one at Walmart and buy a new one every year. I'm sorry. I know that's wasteful. You can call me whatever you want. I have tried Dyson. I have tried Shark. None of them last. They're all junk. So I just buy a new one from Walmart every year as it dies for $50 and I leave it at that. That's my advice. Hair tie, be nice to your kids. They will be picking out your care home one day. Yes, they will. Pat, tithe question. Should we tithe gross or what we actually bring home? So you make that decision. If you have to ask that question, you're being legalistic about it. So I say gross. Why skimp on God? But if you just really feel like you're supposed to do the net, well, then go ahead. But, I just say do it on the gross and stop worrying about it. Just do it.
Yeah, I give way more than, anyway. So you're going to find out once you start giving that you really can outgive God. I remember I was thinking about that today, getting my first allowance. My mom gave it to me. I thought I was so rich. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and it was a quarter. And I remember her coming. It's right there in my memory of one of the few things I can remember now. And she brought it into the bedroom because we were picking up our bedroom. And she brought that quarter in and gave me my first quarter. And she said, "This is your allowance." And she said, "Now, tomorrow, when you go to church, you need to always give God 10%. And I said, "Well, how much is that?" I didn't even know how much 10% was of a quarter. And she said, "Well, it's 2.5 cents. But she said, you give God 3 cents because he always gives you so many other things extra besides the quarter." And it's so true. Over the years, I would get boxes of tomatoes from my husband's piano students, or we would be given something, produce, or just given special things, a special deal on a car. Those are all things we don't ever bother to think to tithe on. But I have always given extra and above just for those things, and I just sit in amazement what God has done for me. I got a bottle of shampoo out, not shampoo, body wash. And I will take a thing of body wash. It can last me 2 to 3 years. We don't think about God given to us in this way, but my stuff lasts forever. If I get like foundation, or if I get my clothes don't wear out, I usually just get them because it's something different, because they go out of style or something like that. I get hand-me-downs for clothes. I get so much that God has given me, and we never look at that stuff as God blessing us. And so to say, well, should I give him just this little bit here or this little bit there? You can't outgive him. And I had a pastor one time. We were living on nothing. My husband had left. I barely had anything for groceries, and I had a pastor say, "Well, you just don't need to be tithing." And I looked at him and I was just appalled that he told me that. And I didn't listen. I didn't listen to him. And I made it through all those years just fine. We had everything we ever needed, and he just keeps giving to us.
By the way, speaking of pastors, if those of you have heard the Elster Big controversy, we do not agree with him at all on that. He's a great guy, but we don't agree with that. And I know we'll get questions eventually. So just so you know where we stand on that. Carissa says, my mom loves Mike's baking powder biscuits. And Corrine says, the best chocolate chip cookies from Volume 1 are the best chocolate chip cookies. Been looking for a recipe with the hot water. The best. She just must really love them. Thank you. Thank you. Donna, does dehydrating food and storing them save money? I mean, probably not by the time you spend the money on the dehydrator and the electricity.
It doesn't save money. It's just when I get excess, somebody gives excess or something, and I don't like to can, so I don't waste the food, and I dehydrate it by doing it that way.
Debbie, homemade pasta sauce is easy for your tomatoes. So good. Yes, it is, except we don't eat pasta very much.
Yeah, they don't.
Jack's the only one who really eats it, so we don't eat it that often. Monice, I like the green color of your kitchen walls. Thank you. I made this up. I threw 3 cans of paint together, and that's what I came up with. Cindy, tonight's dinner cost about $2 for my husband and I. Good job.
Very good.
Barbecue meatballs, scalloped potatoes, and a can of green beans. We will have leftovers plus meatballs will be cut up for omelets tomorrow. Very good.
The scalloped potatoes in there, I think we have. Do we have it in Living on the Dine? Just the potatoes with cheese on top. One of the easiest way to do potatoes, because I had an excessive amount this past couple of weeks, is just to slice them. And I put them in the microwave for about 2 minutes if there's like 3 or 4 potatoes in a ceramic pan, and then sprinkle some cheese on them and stick them and finish in the oven and finish them off in the oven. It's just cheese and potatoes, and it's so easy. I do put a little bit of margarine around the bowl and a couple little chunks, and it's a simple, and it tastes so good. So you don't have to put quite as much work into it as doing the full scallop potatoes, but you still get kind of like the same flavor.
Tara just is looking at our book now. She just got it in January. Thank you. You're welcome. Peggy says, yes, I've lost over 20 pounds and I'm not fat, but I'm a lot better now.
Oh,
There you go.
good. I love it when you guys tell me when you're losing weight and saving money on this stuff.
Corey, I remember my grandmother always admiring wrapping paper when she got a present because it was a luxury.
Yes,
it
we
was.
always saved it for years. Mm-hmm.
Marilyn Monroe says, I'm looking forward to trying the turkey recipe. I've always cooked mine upside down, but didn't ever know about the stick of butter. Yes,
yeah,
it's very delicious.
It'll be good.
Christine, my grandmother says, Mom would make us rice and raisins for breakfast and called it spotted pup. Oh, that's funny. I've never heard that one.
I haven't either. Yeah.
Bounding in the Badlands. Farming today's business. We work with experts to apply only the chemicals we need. We don't waste. It affects our bottom line. Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe in organic farming at all.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am organic a lot of the time, but I don't believe in it. Fertilizer, there's a reason why we are able to have such an abundance of food, and it's because of fertilizer. I'm sorry, but that horse poop is not going to fertilize the same as chemical fertilizers. And you're not going to, I have been gardening for 35 years. I know it does not work as well as chemical fertilizers.
Well, what I'm concerned about too is a lot of people that do organic stuff now say, well, I do just fine with not using fertilizers and all that or pesticides. But you live in the center with people surrounding you that are using pesticides. So if ever they force everybody not to use pesticides, it's going to be a nightmare with crops being eaten with all kinds of horrible bugs and stuff like that. You know, you can do it okay now because you're so surrounded with people that are using the pesticides. So we got to be careful with some of this stuff about, you know, the laws and hollering about, you know, go in certain directions.
Connie says, how would you handle it if a family member didn't prepare financially for job loss, etc.? I feel guilty if I don't help them. I'd say tough darts, farmer. I mean, here's the thing. If they were just flat out irresponsible with their money and then they got a job loss, they need to suffer the consequences. Here's the problem. People don't suffer the consequences of their actions. And so then they take advantage of other people. Now, if it's your kids or your grandkids or something, then you could maybe buy them a very minimum amount of groceries to help the grandkids eat if that's needed. But I wouldn't give, if they were just being irresponsible, I wouldn't give them any money. They need to feel the pain to change their ways.
It depends on the people too, because for example, if my kids, like right now, needed something happen and they didn't do good financially and they needed help, and I would buy them something for the grandkids or the kids to eat, my kids would automatically know that they should come over and mow my yard, shovel my snow, do things to help me to pay back. You know, if they don't have it right now, they will show me, and that shows me they're responsible and they're trying. But if they're just going to sit at home and not go out and try to look for a job or do anything like that, help cook the meals, or, you know, with the food you do give them, if they bring you a little bit of that meal over or something like that, they just need to show. It depends on how responsible the kids are or the family members are. If they're not, you aren't helping them. It's like somebody that does drugs and you say they're having withdrawals and you say these poor people are having withdrawals from the drugs. Let me go buy more drugs for them to help them get over their withdrawal stuff, or to help them, you know, do that. That's not good for them. And it's not good for people with money problems either.
Suzanne, is Walmart blue dish soap as good or better than Dawn? You will find out in an upcoming video. I'm testing it to tell you. I will tell you. Ida says, I bought the Dawn Power Wash last spring. It was junk for the price. I still have most of it under my sink. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
nothing good about Dawn Power Wash.
I think sometimes people too maybe think it works good because they've never had, it works good for what they've experienced so far. They've never had anything else that's worked better, so they don't have anything to compare it to maybe.
Yep. Denise, I'm like you. I use hot water and a little dishwasher soap. Yep. Kitsy, lost my business during the COVID lockdowns. The landowner sold the property where our shop was because no one was paying their rent but us. I know.
Yeah.
Deborah, talking about romper room. Wow, we had a nerd with romper room, didn't we? I'm just shocked that I was watching her and I didn't even know it was a romper room lady. Oh my goodness, that's just too funny. L. Stewart, what kind of shortening do you use in your baking mix? Just the cheap Walmart brand. Olympia, I read books on influenza and it was very scary. Yes, it was.
It was that.
You think about, they had no painkillers, nothing to get fever down except for ice.
No penicillin, antibiotics, nothing.
They had nothing. The 1918 flu was so horrible. We can't even imagine.
They didn't have oxygen stuff.
They
and
had
things
nothing.
Like, yeah.
And to fight it. And so, yeah. Angie, first time here. We're beautiful. She loves the color of the walls. Thank you. Fourth and goal says she loves our egg rolls. Aren't those delicious? Oh, love those things. Should we be buying flour? It doesn't last forever. So I would keep at least a year's supply of flour on hand. That's what I would do. It doesn't last forever, but it will get you 18 months, a year past the expiration date. Let's see. Linda, our beef and broccoli is so yummy. Made it for my son. He gave it a 10 out of 10. Yay. That is great. Second time she forgot to add the brown sugar. Yeah, you got to add it. Gail says she keeps her house at 64 all day and night. Yep, very good. Marilyn, I have never used anything but water on my face in my whole life. No creams, lotions, or anything. There you go. And I made her feel better about the vacuum dilemma. Yeah, guys, I've just given up trying any vacuums. None of them work for long term. So I just buy a new one. When it breaks, I just throw it away and get the next one. Dyson was a huge disappointment. Julie says yes. And Becca says that's their vacuum strategy. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just buy one every 6 months or a year. That's what we do. Jay Moore, I get firewood for $75 to fill my trailer. So $57 on the furnace and rarely comes on. Yeah.
That's good.
Bounty the Badlands, she would never buy another Dyson. Yeah. Gail says she has friends who make windmill cookies. Never heard of those.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Beth Ann says it all belongs to God. He just lends it to you. Yes. Kelly, what would you consider our easiest bread recipe? I would say if you want the very easiest, it would be the 60-minute bread here in volume 2. That's the easiest and quickest one. Well, but she wanted bread, not biscuits. Jay Moore, I found out super thick fleece sweats for $21 a set. Very nice and warm in the winter. Very good. The Hanvey, my doctor just recommended I cut out gluten and dairy. She's getting our gluten-free, dairy-free cookbook. Yeah, just buy the cookbook. Believe me, it'll save you a ton of headache. I know it's my own book, but the recipes are already tested. Just follow them to a T to start with.
Please do that.
Don't substitute. Follow the directions. But yeah, just do that. Also, guys, we have undated planners. We have a few left. They are year, 400 pages, 366 days. Help you get organized in the new year. Everybody else does the same things with vacuums. So does Cindy. Yep. Tina, my son is a top mechanic at GMC and is having trouble getting parts. Yeah, cars breaking down is going to be a problem.
That's why I say get as many things repaired on your body, your cars, your house. If you need a new roof or something like that, you need to get it done now.
Yeah. Debbie loves tough darts. I love your sayings. Hey, does anybody know? Not you, Michael Kellum. Anybody know where Tough Darts Farmer came from? Let's see if anybody knows. Patricia wants to know how you use baking soda to wash your hair.
You just fill, I get in the shower and I have a plastic cup and I fill about 8 ounces of hot water and put a tablespoon of baking soda in there. I rinse my hair really well before I pour it on, and then I pour the baking soda on, rub it like shampoo. It doesn't suds. That's going to feel weird to you, but I just rub it all over, rinse it out, and that's it.
The baking soda just soaks up the oil.
Yeah. And what it'll do is it might take, if you have super oily hair, it might take a couple of weeks for it to balance out. But what that does is it's not stripping your hair of its natural oils, like shampoo will do. And so eventually your natural hair oils will just balance out really nice. And there's just a little bit, I didn't have any trouble, but some people, if they have really oily hair, have to take a couple of weeks for your hair to adjust the oils. So,
guys, our cookbooks are 25% off right now. In the description below, you can see every page on the sales page. Go visit us at livingonadime.com. Please watch our video on Friday. It's going to be a Tightwad Tuesday for those of you wanting one of those. See you guys next time. Have a good night.
bye-bye.